Oh, there's a difference between good and great, and that's what you're gonna see. I'm just gonna take matters in my own hands, and I'm not gonna let anything he puts in front of my plate. I'm gonna eat it, whatever it is. I gotta just do it because this is gonna propel my career, and it's gonna propel boxing.
I want to make the most memorable nights in boxing. You know, the ones where people go, "Cool, what a fight, what a night." Something to remember, history made, legacy made. That's why I'm here. So whoever wants it can get it.
That's who you are. I have no doubt about it. But I asked a very direct question. This is first thing. He don't know me that well yet. Who do you want? Like, who's the guy?
Garcia.
Yeah, that's all I want to hear. That's all I want to hear, Dana. That's what I was asking him.
In a tense moment during a live ESPN interview, Ryan Garcia directed his attention toward Conor Benn, making it clear he was keeping him in mind as a potential opponent. He issued a firm message expressing total confidence that if they ever shared the ring, he would control the fight and secure a decisive victory over him.
Hey, pause. No Diddy, Conor. No, you know ass beating me. You know ass beating me.
I'll come over there and fuck you up about that.
Oh, you're getting even more Diddy with it. Come on, stop it, brother.
Listen, lay off the gear, mate. Lay off the gear and I'll put my damn thing
Hey, lay off the PEDs, man. Lay off the PEDs.
Bro, get them eggs out of your mouth.
During a recent update, Dana White indicated that he would not be against the idea of a matchup between Conor Benn and Ryan Garcia, signaling that the fight could potentially be made. Meanwhile, Benn is actively seeking a high-profile opportunity, looking to step up against top-level opposition as he tries to establish himself on the global stage and prove he belongs among the sport's elite.
Last time I saw you on the screen, you were in the ring after Shakur Stevenson won his fight. But Ryan Garcia and the potential for a fight against him is what everybody's been making noise about as well. Where is your head in regards to that? What fight do you want? What have you told Dana White?
Listen,
What's the fight that you want?
We're going to try and make the WBC World title. I'm mandatory for that shot. I've worked hard to get to that shot. But ultimately, I'm not sure of options. There's plenty of fighters calling me out. So we'll see what's there. Whatever fight the public want, they can get. I'm here because I want to make the biggest fights possible.
What you, Dana? What do you want?
Yeah, I agree with everything he said. That's why I'm in the business right now, is to make the fights that people want to see, put on massive. You know what's crazy? So we were together yesterday, and he asked me, this is the state of boxing right now. He says, did you watch my father fight? I said, are you crazy? When your father was fighting, everybody all over the world knew who, the champion was, knew who, when big fights happened anywhere in the world, everybody watched. Boxing was big in America back then. So that is my goal, is to make it that way again over the next.
Greg Hackett has come out firmly in support of Ryan Garcia ahead of a possible matchup, saying Garcia possesses the technique, punching power, and timing to overwhelm Conor Benn. He believes Garcia would be more than capable of stopping him and delivering a clear statement performance in the ring.
Had the back and forth, like, I'm gonna knock you out, and Conor responds that Tank made you quit, Rolly beat your ass, and Luke Campbell dropped you. What you think of that fight if it happens now?
I think that's a great fight. But I think if Ryan go out there looking like anything like his last fight, I think he'll stop Conor Benn. I don't think Conor Benn is defensive enough. I like his intensity level, but his defense don't really have no defense. And Ryan's speed gives anybody problems. And then he can punch too. So I think Ryan stop Conor Benn on some real shit. I think all the 47-pounders are stopping. I think Brian Norman Jr. was stopping. I think Devin Haney was stopping. Whoever at 47.
Is it the weight? Because he looked good against Eubank.
Yeah, I think it could be the weight, but also I think it's just his style. His style is not really that complicated. It's a simple style, and the things he do is simple. He jump in, jump out. You know what I mean? Jump in, jump out. It's like fighting a strong amateur. It's just like being in there with a strong amateur.
Eddie Hearn has stated that Conor Benn is presently operating at British level, while also emphasizing that his development is moving in the right direction at a strong pace. He pushed back against criticism, pointing out that Benn's performances and overall progression deserve recognition. even though he has not yet captured a world championship.
People following Conor Benn. You know what? People have asked me that. I didn't really feel any emotion, if I'm honest. Like, look, I didn't want him to look that bad. Honestly, like I'm not watching him going, oh, I hope he looks terrible. I want him to look well. I was a bit frustrated watching because I think he can be much better than that. I also think that down at that weight, I think he's got it in his head that he can make 47 and he can and he can make 47. But I don't think he's the same fighter when he's making 47, personally. But listen, he's had it off. I mean, me. People are criticising him. Oh, he couldn't win a British title. He's not the best fighter in Essex. Look at what he's done. I mean, I would like to say that how I got him in that position was one of the greatest bits of work by any promoter ever to grace the work. By the way, he put the work in. I will always say Conor Benn works very hard, but me, on my tombstone, just right on the thing, I want you to say, great guy.
Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi have both expressed doubts about Conor Benn being ranked alongside top-tier fighters. They suggested that his name is being elevated more because of popularity and attention rather than proven elite-level accomplishments. Both commentators questioned whether he truly belongs in the same category as boxing's established stars.
He's going directly talking about Ryan Garcia, calling him out. And of course, Ryan is going to be like, yeah, of course, big money fight. And we had some reactions from fighters who were paying attention that night. They took to Twitter immediately. Jack Catterall, hands are looking through his fingers with an emoji. Josh Kelly saying, wow, same kind of situation. Ryan Garcia calling him Conor Bum. Devin Haney saying Conor Benn, stay away.
That's what I'm saying. You're putting this guy into the conversation with these guys. That's why they're aggravated and they're annoyed.
Well, it's because he calls everybody out. So
you're mixing this guy into the conversation he doesn't belong in. These are all guys. Look, all the names you just mentioned, they're all in one conversation. They're all in one room. Conor Benn just gets to join that room because of his fame. He's not of that level. He doesn't even belong. Of course, they're laughing at him and they're going to critique him and all this other stuff. I saw even Shakur, I think, had said something. It's like, Corey, you don't belong anywhere near that.
Tim Bradley criticized Conor Benn's most recent performance, saying he appeared underwhelming in the ring. He pointed to a lack of experience, timing, and overall ring intelligence during the fight. While acknowledging Benn's physical strength and punching power, Bradley added that he still hasn't done enough to be regarded as an elite-level fighter at this stage of his career.
You can look him up on BoxRec. He got 5 stars next to his damn name, like he's done something. And he ain't done it's in the fight with Regis Prograis. You can see, Regis was one of those guys that started late as well, but you can see the experience of Regis, start to show through. Now, Conor Benn and his team, made the adjustment and went down to the body of Regis and started to slow down and kind of take the fight out of Regis. However, Regis was in the fight. He was catching Conor Benn with some, and it's just the inexperience and, the low IQ of Conor Benn and not having enough experience to be at that elite level.
Max Kellerman and Sergio Morris shared a similar view, saying Conor Benn's latest victory came across as fairly ordinary rather than standout or elite. They felt the performance didn't show anything extraordinary and suggested that, at this point, Benn is still well below Ryan Garcia's level when comparing overall skill and in-ring output.
No punch resistance, and a guy that lost 2 of his last 3 fights. And Conor Benn was on the back foot, Mannix. He was the naturally bigger, stronger, younger fighter, and he was on the back foot being pushed around by a fighter, a veteran, a good champion. And, I'm a fan of Prograis, but he didn't belong in the ring with a fresher Conor Benn, and there you go. They went back and forth. It wasn't competitive, but they went back and forth. Conor didn't have that explosiveness. He didn't have that mean chip on his shoulder. He didn't have that eagerness to go for the knockout. Why? You were in there against an older fighter, a fighter that was injured from what you and others were reporting. So injured, older, less explosive. What the hell are you doing on your back foot? Conor Benn just made $15 million on Netflix, and he didn't try to do anything great. He had the setup there. He had the stage set to have a splash over here.
Max Kellerman and Sergio Mora said Conor Benn's latest performance has raised serious concerns, describing it as disappointing and a significant warning sign going forward. They questioned whether his position as a top contender is fully justified, especially given his limited experience at welterweight. They also noted that while some had previously believed Benn's explosiveness could trouble elite-level opponents, his most recent showing changed that view. In their opinion, his performance has now cast doubt on how he would fare against top fighters, such as Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney, or Shakur Stevenson, with all of them likely being favored over him at 147 pounds.
Ben, for whatever reasons, is the #1 ranked challenger to Ryan Garcia's WBC title. All right, let's not litigate that right now. The WBC does incredibly crazy things with their rankings. I agree with you there. Before this fight, I talked to a lot of smart people in boxing that thought Conor Benn would beat Ryan Garcia, that thought Conor Benn's explosiveness would be too much for Ryan Garcia, who often leaves himself kind of in a tough defensive position when he steps back, he drops his guard, that chin hangs up in the air. After this fight, Sergio, I don't know how you can look at a Garcia-Conor Benn matchup and say that Ryan is the underdog. Ryan, who was on social media saying, bring that guy to me afterwards, has to be feeling confident if that's the fight that gets made at some point before the end of this year. All the welterweights out there were saying the exact same thing. Devin Haney is on social media. Shakur Stevenson, who is not a big puncher at 140 pounds, said he would be disappointed in himself.
Josh Taylor, Simon Jordan, Spencer Oliver, and Paul Smith all weighed in on Conor Benn's recent performance and his overall position in the sport, offering a range of opinions that leaned mostly toward criticism. They also brought up his move to Zuffa Boxing and discussed reports of a potentially highly profitable agreement, suggesting it could involve more than just one bout and may instead be part of a longer-term promotional strategy. However, despite the business side of things, the conversation quickly returned to Benn's performances inside the ring and questions about where he truly stands competitively.
Spencer, signed with Zuffa. I mean, it was interesting that Frank Smith was talking about, if you think that's a one-fight deal, if you think they're paying him $15 million for one fight, it can grow up. There's more to it attached than that. But we'll see that pan out over a period of time. Unanimous points decision. We can get into the mechanics of it, and I'll do some of that with Josh in a moment because he's obviously been in Regis' program. Yeah. What did you make of Conor's performance?
What did I make of Conor's performance? That he's not a world-class fighter at 147 or at 154. I think that become evident. We've got Regis Prograis there that's got an injured jaw, an injured hand, an injured foot, an injured knee. Yeah. He's talked about pulling out the fight on Friday night itself. He was shit scared going into the ring, and Conor Benn couldn't get rid of him and actually had quite a tough night with him. I know it was 98, 90, 92 and Conor was winning the rounds, but it was competitive. And I think that what we found out there is that Conor doesn't hold the power down at that low weight. Since he's there, he looked drawn at the weigh-in and the week before.
Simon Jordan argued that Conor Benn is not yet a world-class fighter at either welterweight or light middleweight. He suggested that Benn's most recent outing highlighted certain weaknesses in both power and resilience, even against an opponent who was not fully fit. Jordan also claimed that Benn has been carefully managed and promoted in a way that has built his profile more than his actual elite-level achievements. Paul Smith echoed that view, saying Benn appeared competitive but still showed clear limitations, struggling to separate himself from higher-level opposition. Spencer Oliver and Josh Taylor added that, in their opinion, Benn currently sits around British level to lower European level. While they praised his fitness and toughness, they questioned whether his technical ability is strong enough yet to compete with true world-class fighters.
Back to you in a second, Spence. Listen to Paulie Malignaggi had some things to say about the fight and Conor Benn. Listen to him.
Paulie, did you catch the Conor Benn fight? Did you catch the co-main event?
I did. You know what, guys? I'm done. I'm done with it. This guy's horrible. This guy's terrible. I don't mind watching Conor Benn. Like I don't mind him getting the fanfare. He's an okay fighter. Just don't start mentioning him at world-class levels. Then you start crossing the line. Because he's not your Jake Paul either. So it's not like I'm throwing him all the way on the other side. I'm not doing that. I'm being a very honest person here. He's an okay fighter, okay? But just don't start mentioning him with these world-class situations and world-class fighters. He talks about Shakur Stevenson and all this other stuff. This name belongs nowhere near those guys, okay? For the fanfare, okay, I get it. People start talking about him. He's got a lot of popularity, and I understand that's going to happen. But don't start mentioning him boxing-wise with these guys. All of a sudden, right away, we start seeing tweets and Instagrams about this Shakur Stevenson fight and everybody. Shakur Stevenson would beat him with one hand. I would beat him.
Tim Bradley reviewed Conor Benn's fight against Regis Prograis and said it clearly exposed gaps in experience and ring intelligence. He explained that as the rounds went on, great timing and veteran awareness started to take control of the contest. Bradley noted that Benn and his corner did make adjustments, including targeting the body to try to slow Prograis down and reduce his activity. However, he pointed out that Prograis was still able to land significant punches, which highlighted defensive weaknesses and a lack of high-level experience on Benn's side. That he went on to criticize Benn's ring IQ, stating that he is not yet proven at the elite tier. While acknowledging his physical strength and occasional punching power, Bradley argued that these traits do not make up for his technical flaws. Overall, he described Benn as still developing, raw and not fully polished, and not completely comfortable when stepping up against top opposition in major fights.
It's because he has some pop, he had some pop. Ever since, he stopped drinking that baby milk, whatever that was, he took fertility, whatever. Then they said it's something about some contaminated eggs or something like that, whatever the hell that is. That makes sense now to me. Why he's taking that. They say, well, he didn't mean to take it and all this. Get the hell out of here with that. He was suspended for some years, I believe. But you correct me if I'm wrong. But it was mainly like because he don't believe in himself. Anytime he steps up in a fight, the dude is scared. He's scared to death. I'm pretty sure he was scared in this fight. Because not only did he have to come down in weight, and cut muscle. He had to cut through.
Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi said Conor Benn is in a complicated position, stuck between calling out elite-level fighters and dealing with the ongoing challenge of making the welterweight limit. They argued that if he is already struggling at 147 pounds, moving up to 154 wouldn't necessarily make things easier, since that division is even deeper and more competitive. They added that while middleweight might seem like a slightly more forgiving option, there are still major doubts about whether Benn can realistically become a world champion in any weight class. Following his recent performance, they suggested that his long-term goals may be slipping further out of reach. When discussing potential matchups, they pointed out several difficult stylistic and physical tests at welterweight and dismissed some fights as unfavorable for him. Ultimately, they concluded that a clash with Ryan Garcia would be particularly dangerous for Benn, especially with the added strain of making weight, and predicted Garcia's speed and skill advantage would likely lead to a stoppage within the early rounds.
I pushed the name Benn, and Anthony Hearn actually did a lot of the work for you. And now, of course, you're in the conversation, and you're constantly in the conversation. But yeah, he doesn't belong in the conversation with these guys. All these guys that you mentioned are on one side of the
they're all world champions. They've all been in the room. They've all been in the room.
Even if they would lose their world title, they've been world champions. They've shown they're the part. They could still, you can match them up against one another, and it would be a solid fight on paper, no matter how it comes out in reality. On paper, Ben and any of these guys is really not a good fight, bro.
Abdulma75 has a really good comment. You can't skip British and European level and expect to hang with the world level fighters. This is a really good point. And I've seen comments before. This guy won't even win a British world title. The comments are not favoring Ben in any way. But they're going to, because again, the investment that's been put into him. This is one of those, all right, we just got to get to the...
Following his win over Mario Barrios, Ryan Garcia has moved into a strong position near the top of the rankings, with increasing discussion around him potentially becoming a mandatory challenger. While nothing has been officially confirmed by the sanctioning bodies, his name is consistently being tied to major welterweight bouts. One of the most talked about possibilities is a showdown with Conor Benn. The idea of Garcia facing Benn has been circulating for a while, and interest grew further after Garcia recently hinted that both camps were aiming for an August fight in Las Vegas. That statement added real momentum to the speculation, with fans and analysts beginning to view the matchup as a realistic next step for both fighters.
Mario Barrios, so he's not old or mandatory as of yet, but he's in the ranking system. He's number one. They haven't made him officially the mandatory. But nonetheless, there's been conversations and talks of this fight.
However, the situation became more complicated after Conor Benn signed a new contract extension with Zuffa Boxing and Dana White. That move introduced fresh uncertainty into ongoing negotiations, particularly with the growing friction between Zuffa Boxing, the traditional sanctioning bodies, and Oscar de la Hoya's promotional side. These competing interests and promotional disagreements could potentially slow down or even derail plans for the fight. Adding to the confusion, Benn's recent public remarks during his ESPN appearance, where he hinted at having multiple options, have further cast doubt on whether the matchup is actually finalized. Despite all of this, Ryan Garcia has continued to show interest publicly. He has stayed active on social media, sharing interview clips and interacting with fans, making it clear he is still open to the fight. Even with strong fan interest and growing hype, the bout remains one of the most talked about in boxing. But promotional politics and business conflicts are still standing in the way of any official confirmation.
Quite some time now, okay? For quite some time. And it was just reported by Ryan Garcia himself that him and Conor Benn are going to fight in August in Las Vegas. But now, Conor Benn signs this contract and this extension with Zuffa and Dana White. And we know how Dana White and Ryan Garcia's promoter, Oscar de la Hoya, we know.
The conversation picked up even more momentum when Conor Benn appeared on ESPN alongside Dana White and Stephen A. Smith, where the possible fight was openly addressed on air. When asked directly about a potential next bout with Ryan Garcia, Benn referenced having options, a comment that many took as a sign the negotiations may still be unsettled or not fully aligned behind the scenes. The YOURyan response. Ryan Garcia reacted on social media by reposting clips from the interview and engaging with fans, even using eye emojis, which showed he was clearly paying attention and still interested in the matchup. Stephen A. Smith also weighed in, stressing that fans don't want unclear answers or alternative suggestions. They want a straightforward, confirmed fight between Garcia and Benn. With that, public excitement continued to grow across social media and the boxing world. Even so, despite the strong attention and demand, promotional hurdles remain in place, and official confirmation of the fight is still pending.
Not to mention the sanction bodies. The sanction bodies have issues with Zuffa belt and Zuffa boxing. So this is an issue. So Ryan Garcia responds, Conor Benn was on ESPN with Stephen A. Smith on First Take with Dana White, and they announced it, and Ryan Garcia reposted it. Stephen A. Smith said, who do you want to fight next? You know, we know about you and Ryan Garcia. Are we going to get that fight next? And Conor Benn started talking about options. He started talking about options, which for me...
And that's everything for today's video.